Hello everyone, it is 89 degrees. I'm actually on time. I am on time, I'm surprised. I'm a little tired. I was like rushing, doing my exercising and stuff. Took a shower. I have my hair pulled back. And I'm thinking about putting it down already because I've been trying to alternate, but I feel better with it down lately because of the headaches that I've been getting. And the moon looks really pretty tonight. I'll show you all in just a sec. Let me just go ahead and pull all the way up. I got kind of freaked out right now because I stepped out and I get a doorbell notification, right? And I'm like, oh, that's just me. But even as I'm walking, it rang again, and I'm like, is someone behind me? Like, what the hell? What was that? You know? Oh, there's somebody out here with their dogs. Look. Oh, look pretty. It's so bright and full. Is it a special moon tonight or something? I recorded it, but I don't even keep up with that anymore as much as I used to. I don't know why. My son's going out of town tomorrow. He's surprising his fiance and the kids with a trip to the zoo. And they're gonna stay, I guess, at the island for the night and then come back sometime Saturday in the afternoon. So it's only for one night, and guess who's gonna be in charge? Emily! She's gonna be in charge with me. Yeah, we're gonna get in trouble. No, we're not. We're good girls. We'll try not to get in trouble. And so I'm a little excited about that. Be able to take her for a walk at night and then again in the morning. And I'm undecided if I want to sleep over at their apartment. Not that I would mind, you know, but I'm comfortable in my own bed. I don't know how Emily would do at my place. She's so used to her place too. So we'll see how we're going to handle that part. I went to my therapist today. And let me tell you all, the other night, I was already thinking, I'm gonna have to live for somebody else. I was really like upset, and the reason I was upset is because, and I had to like stop and think like, okay, Moon, your therapist probably didn't know this part, so don't blame her. You know, calm down, give it another chance, and then take it from there. So what happened was on yesterday, gosh, you know, you all, before I get into it, lately my days, they seem kind of rushed and then they feel slow at the same time. I don't even know how to describe it. Like, I can't believe I thought it was Friday today. All day since I woke up in the morning, I thought it was Friday. And I don't know why I thought that if my appointments are on Thursdays, you know? But anyhow, Wednesday was my first appointment for the EMDR, and it was just going to be like an intro. What it's about, what exactly it entails, how it works, you know, all that. So I met up with that therapist because the therapist that I see on Thursdays does not do that. You have to be apparently trained in that and certified and whatnot, right? So I'm like, all right. And we're talking, she's explaining everything to me. She mentions this thing right here, the rapid eye movement. And then I started thinking, oh, wait a minute, I'm prone to vertigo and migraines. So would that be ideal for me? And she's like, oh, probably not. She never mentioned any other method other than just the finger moving around, and your eyes moving side to side really quick. But then she started like getting into my foundation. And at first I did not understand what she meant that, she just kept saying, you need to have a foundation for this method. Otherwise, I'm just going to bring out even more triggers and you're going to have a harder time dealing with it. And she's like, what are your coping mechanisms right now? And I'm just looking at her like, what? And I understood the question. What I didn't have was the answer. And so I'm just looking at her like, you mean like, do I have like a support system? Or what do you mean? And she's like, okay, so, and I forgot all of her examples. So I'm just going to pick one off the top of my head that I can think of right now. But say I'm at the grocery store and we're grabbing some milk and it's the last milk. And that person tells me, excuse me, and they get the last milk when I was already grabbing for it. How would I deal with that? Would I think of myself as a failure or kind? Or would I just get upset? And how would I soothe it's not so much as how I would deal with the other person, mind you. It's how I would deal with myself. And so I was just like, I'm not sure. I know I would be angry, that's for sure. And I would probably say something to the other person. And she's like, okay, but say the other person rebels and says, well, you were just too slow, or, they were in a hurry, and whatever excuse they want to use, and it's insulting you and whatever, and they're telling you even more about yourself, like just all this negative stuff. What do you do? What do you tell yourself? How do you combat that or counter that? Not what you would tell the other person, but yourself. How would you counter all those negative things that she just said to you, or he, I still couldn't figure it out. And then I said, I'm not sure. And then she's like, so you don't have any coping skills at the moment, or you're really just not sure? And then I said, no, I'm going to be honest with you. I have none. I have no coping skills whatsoever. I said, I've been coming to counseling for 2 years, maybe more. And I never got that feedback. And I felt like I was never given the tools. I was never given the guidance, let alone coping skills, on how to handle what I've been going through this entire time. And I said, once in a while, the counselor that I have right now, she'll give me an exercise, but she doesn't hold me accountable to it, and so I don't follow through with it either. I'm like, well, I know she's not going to ask me about it. Why do it? You know? And then in turn, she says, well, it's not up to us to heal you. We're here to guide you, but it's not us to heal. It's not for us to heal you. Not even this method. You know, that's something that you need to do for yourself. You need to heal your brain. And I'm like, what? Like, I didn't understand what she meant by that. And then I was like, well, then what the hell am I coming here for? You know, like, I just thought that to myself. What the hell am I coming here for then if it's all up to me, you know? And so I just let her continue, right? And, you know, finally in the end, she said she was going to talk to my therapist about all this, to let her know that she didn't think I was a good candidate for this method. Not at the moment. She's not closing the door on me, but that I need to work on some coping skills. And I said that was perfectly fine. That sounded like a plan for me. And I thought, you know, great, you know, at least not only am I going to start advocating for myself, but this person's going to do it too. And then I did tell her that I was seeking some self-help books to learn how to cope, because again, I wasn't getting it there through counseling. And so she did recommend 2 books to me, and it's just a matter of me ordering them, having the money to order them. You know, they're not expensive, but they're different prices, both of them. I don't have to order them both at the same time, mind you, but I'm on a very tight budget, you know, but I will get them because I do want to get something like this, right? I used to have a Nook, and my child, when he was younger, took it to his grandma's, and I never saw it back. So there goes that, you know. But anyhow, and the reason I brought that up is because books are actually cheaper there. Now I could probably get Audible, but that's still an expense, you know. It's like, what, $15 a month for Audible? And I don't even know if that book's even in there. Either one of them. So, anyhow. So she did do that for me. I left, but the entire appointment seemed kind of rushed. She kind of seemed like, okay, this girl doesn't have any coping skills. I'm wasting my time here. Like, why are you even in my office? You know, and she was ready to dismiss me. And I was kind of like, whoa, wait a minute. You know, you're charging my insurance for this session. You're going to charge me for the entire hour. You're going to sit yourself down, and I'm going to say what I got to say. You know? And that's exactly how the appointment went. I was getting upset. I was getting upset at that point, you know? And then I did tell her, well, if that's the case, if you only see patients that have a foundation, then shouldn't my therapist have said that to me first when I brought up this idea that I wanted to try this method to help heal? You know? And she's like, well, yeah, she should have, but I'm not sure. Well, I wasn't there for the conversation, and da-da-da-da. And I said, look, I'm not blaming her for this, but I'm saying there's a lack of communication going on. Not just with me not having coping skills for the past 2 years, but also if I'm going to try to bring something up, to try something, at least let me know in advance what the requirements Otherwise, yes, we are going to be wasting each other's time. And I wanted to say like we are now, but, we finished up the appointment. I left. Again, she tried to reassure me that she's not closing the door on me. And I'm like, you know what? You don't have to close the door on me. I'm closing it on you. Thank you very much, but I won't need your services. And so that yesterday I went home and I was just like, okay, it's time for me to look for a different therapist again. This isn't working, Maybe that is why I'm still freaking out so much. I get anxiety a lot, depression. I'm having all these thoughts again from my past. And everything's constantly just killing me, and I'm not able to enjoy life. Well, it all comes down to, again, no coping skills. I was never given that tool. So, water break. I go to my therapist today, my regular therapist. Turns out the other lady did not communicate with her like she said she would. The way she was talking to me, she gave me the impression that I'm going to talk to her today, to let her know. Is that all right with you? Yes, of course. And apparently she did not, because my therapist was surprised when I brought it up to her. And she was a little bit in shock. And I told her, and you know what, I'm not blaming you. And you know what, you all, I take the blame for all this. I do. I'd rather just take the blame than to throw her under the bus. Because I did express this to this other lady, right? I told her, you're correct. It's my fault. I didn't communicate that to her from the very beginning, and I should have. I did tell her that. So when I saw my therapist today, I told her the same thing. Because she kind of just looked at me like a deer in headlights, like, oh my God, are we going to argue or something? And I said, no, look. I'm not blaming you. It was just, we just didn't get a chance to communicate. We didn't set a plan. And so maybe now from moving forward we can, and rather than me coming in here and just unloading on you all the time. And she's like, oh, okay. Have we ever tried this? And, and I said, no. And then she's like, okay, well, why don't we do this first? And so what we did was, we did like a 5 questionnaire. It was a paper that she handed me, and it had like 5 questions on there. And it had a picture of a kid in the front. And I'm like, okay, this is obviously used for your younger patients. But I'm like, okay, fine, I'll just go with it. So I went with it. At the moment I was thinking, okay, this is so weird. And she kind of seemed a little bit lost and surprised at the same time. Like, she wasn't sure what direction to go. And I'm looking at her like, ma'am, you are the therapist, right? You should know what you're doing. Why don't we know what we're doing right now? I don't get it. And she's like, okay, okay, wait a minute. What about this? And, okay, I got it now. What if, and I'm just like, what? So, but it did get better. I will say that much. In fact, we finally got to the, okay, this is what we can do to deal with it, and she brought up an idea to me. Well, not really the idea, but she brought up a suggestion. Knowing that I like to write, knowing that I've already mentioned to her that I like to journal also, she knows that I have this creative mind of writing stories. She suggested that I start doing that. even if it's just for 5 or 10 minutes, you know. She said, at least to start with, let's just, the maximum amount of 15 minutes. Do that. And that was one of the suggestions on how to cope. And I immediately stood up, not stood up, sat up. And I lit up, and I was like, that's an excellent idea. I can't believe I never thought of something like that. I said, oh my God. Like, it was like she was a genius. Like, writing is my jam. Now you're speaking my language, Like, why didn't you ever say this to me before? Because I never would have thought about it, And then it got me thinking outside the box, and it started giving me more ideas on where I could take that. And I'm going to keep those ideas to myself. Sorry, not sorry, but yeah. There's stuff that I'll talk about. There's stuff that I won't talk about, because I learned a long time ago that when you talk about the plans that you have, there will be people that'll just speak against it. And that's a whole other topic for another time, but I'm just going to leave it there. So I was happy about that part. And so I ended up deciding when I left, I said, okay, this is what I'm going to do. This is going to be my plan. I am going to go to, 3 more sessions, because this was the last for July already, and we're starting something new here. I will see how the next 3 sessions go for August, and by the end of August, if I still feel like I'm in the same place with her, like she's lost, she's running out of ideas on what to do with me, then I will start looking for a psychologist rather than just a regular counseling service. Because I feel a psychologist is more advanced, they're more transparent, and they will give you tools. They're not going to be lost, I hate to say it this way, but more level-headed as well. And that's one thing about the other therapist, is that she handled herself, even though she was pissing me off. She also does therapy, and she does the EMDR method. But she seemed pretty put together. She didn't seem lost to me at all. She was quick with her responses. I'm sorry. I felt like coffee, that's why. She was quick with her responses and suggestions. Oh my goodness. Excuse me. Let me drink some water again. Excuse me. And she was very, what's the word that I'm looking for? Since I can't think right now, I'm just going to come up with a word at the top of my head right now. Strict. And I like that. I may have not liked what she was telling me at the moment, but I liked the way she was handling it. And I liked the way she was handling me. If that makes any sense. She seemed genuinely concerned, and it just seemed like her and I would have probably had a really good talk, and she would have let me leave there with some kind of plan and not so lost. Not having to go figure it out on my own like I have been this entire time. And that happens, because I know some of y'all are probably like, well, that's pretty common sense there. Like, how could you not figure that out? How could you not figure out any coping skills? I never had any. You're talking to a person that suffers from childhood trauma. I was never given that encouragement or that nourishment, let alone that guidance. Back then, my coping skills were hiding in the bathroom. And I mentioned that before. Hiding in the bathroom with a knife. Those were my coping skills. My coping skills weren't even coping skills. They were survival skills. You would think by now, okay, this chick, she could probably be on one of those episodes of Survivor or Alone and be able to survive. No. No, I wouldn't. Now I'm so weak. I'm beat down that I wouldn't. And I don't want to claim that about myself, but understand that I am tired emotionally. I'm not tired. I'm exhausted. I was fresh out of ideas a long time ago on how to soothe myself. I went from survival to existing, I guess, trying to exist, but never living. So when I was asked the question, how do I cope with it? How would I counter a negative thought or something negative said to me? Of course I was lost. I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? What do you mean, how would I counter that? What are you talking about? Because my first instinct would be, I'm going to hurt you. And I kid you not. I'm not trying to say that I'm the type of person that would go out and pick fights. No. Before I did, mind you, before I not pick fights, but I wouldn't mind fighting you. You come at me, I'm going to come back at you, type of thing. But because I'm a Christian, I've been born again for 25 years, I have learned, and I'm still learning, to control that part of me. Believe you me, sometimes I do want to smack a bitch, but I've learned to control that part of me. And a lot of the times when something negative comes towards me, I freeze. And not because I don't have something to rebuttal with. It's more like, I'm trying not to hurt you right now. Let's go back to that scenario at the grocery store. Okay, yeah, it's still recording. Back then, the old me, that person would have said, excuse me, and got the last milk. I would have been like, excuse me. I was reaching for that. How dare you push me out of the way? You saw me standing here, did you not? And we probably would have exchanged words, and I probably would have been like ready to snatch that milk right out of her hand, and who knows where it would end up, but now I kind of I go into this freeze mode, and I'm trying to tell myself, don't do it, I may say something, though. I may say like, oh, I was about to get that. No, but you can take it. That's fine. Enjoy it. I would be sarcastic, and they would probably be sarcastic back, because that's how shitty people are. They know they're shitty people, and they don't mind being shitty people. But you know what? Something that I've learned through my faith is that that's on them, not on me. So even if I were to tell them off or try to fight them, what am I going to win exactly? Because they're going to continue to be the shitty people that they are. I'm not going to change that person. You know, so I guess you can say that's one coping mechanism right there. I will freeze and I will tell myself, don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. You know, and or don't say it. And believe you me, not everybody's attacking me physically. There are people that'll attack me verbally, and they probably thought, you know, they got one up me because I didn't respond. But that's not the case. What's going on with me again is I am trying not to physically respond to you. Because what you just said, I found highly offensive. And you're standing there smiling at me. And I'm trying not to physically hurt you. So I'd rather just shut up, let you do all the yapping, get it all out of your system, make yourself feel good about yourself, let you walk off thinking that you're this great person, when deep down you know you're not. You suck. And you know you suck. In fact, you suck ass. And I feel sorry for you and your family. And that's the truth. Again, sorry, not sorry. But here's the thing. When I get home, I'll be very upset, and I'll keep thinking about it, and then I'll have a nightmare about it. And that's the same with therapy. We talk about something, I get very upset, I go home, I have a nightmare about it, and then I have to deal with it until the following week when I have my appointment again. And you know, lately I've been learning by asking myself, and I didn't even think of this as a coping mechanism either, but I ask myself, why am I giving this so much importance? This is a stranger that just cut me off in the road. This is a stranger that just pissed me off in line at the grocery store or wherever. I will never see them again. May they have the life that they're supposed to have and that they deserve, and let me go on with mine. Why am I letting them steal my joy and my purpose? And here's the thing that I didn't get to tell my therapist today, because again, we were working on coping skills, which I feel like, okay, that's more important than me telling her this. But with the neighbor, you know, how I went through it all, I was going to finish up that. I did part one. I decided I'm not going to give it any more importance. These women are who they are. They feel they are superior than me. They feel they need to keep comparing themselves to me. And then at the same time, they want to compliment me for having a man and they don't, and how lonely they are. But honestly, that's on them. That's something they need to do soul searching on themselves for. You know, I can't help them there. They can be happy with me if they want, but I will hope that it's genuine happiness and not the kind of happiness where you really mean ill will towards me and my relationship. Because I will tell everybody right now that my relationship with my husband hasn't been the best. It's something that we've been working on, and you have no earthly idea what I go through or what I went through to be still here with him. Don't ever try to envy somebody else's relationship, because you don't know what they've been through. Be happy for them, be genuinely happy, but don't ever try to make it seem by going up to some couple and be, oh, you guys are the best, I hope I have my marriage like this, because you do not know what they went through. You can say to yourself, wow, that couple looks really happy. I hope to find somebody like that someday. Say that to yourself. But you don't know what that couple went through. And I'll get into that in some other video. Not right now. But this is the thing. With that neighbor that moved across the street, that tried to change it around on me, telling me that Sundays weren't good for her to visit when she's the one that chose that day and that time. I started doing an inventory in my head, and I started taking all the pros and the cons. And I started asking myself, what is this person really bringing into my life? And I've tried to do that many, many times already, where I'm like, okay, she would get me out of my apartment when she lived here, and I would go outside with her and her dog, and I really enjoyed being around her dog. Sometimes I liked having her over because she would drop by unannounced a lot, right? But once she was there and the dog was there, I liked to play with the dog for a little bit, but then I didn't like that she wasn't paying any attention to her dog, and I was the one chasing her dog everywhere. That I did not like, because the dog would get into my cat's food. I would have to make accommodations for her dog to come visit, and that became really annoying to me, because it's like, this is your dog, ma'am. If you can't control your dog, then leave your dog at home. Anyhow, oh yeah, because she also demanded that I give the dog treats. I had treats there for Emily, but Emily is a good girl. I'm not saying that her dog is a bad boy, but it's her owner. His owner. She's just not a very responsible owner. Anyhow, I'm not going to say nothing else. But anyhow, I was doing an inventory, and I was just like, okay, there weren't enough pros there. And now that she's moved out, she's kind of left it an open window for me, where I could be like, you know what, it's time for me to close this window now. It was good knowing you, but you're not what I want in a friend. You're not really a friend. You definitely don't treat me like a friend. And I'm not going to allow a person like you to disrupt my peace and my life and make me doubt if I'm worthy enough to be your friend. So I'm still praying about it. It all comes down with her. She just needs to respect my boundaries and my time. And that's a lot to do with a lot of other people in my life. They assume, well, Moon doesn't work. I can just go bother her when I like. I can ask her for favors when I like. And I have a hard time saying no. And then the day that I do say no, people freak out on me. What? You're not going to do me this favor? But you don't work. You're home. You have time. Why? Why won't you do this favor for me? Do this favor for me, please. No. No, I'm sorry. No. Well, what do you have to do? Nothing. Well, then why can't you do this? Because it's my nothing. It's my time of nothing. And I'm choosing that. I don't know what else to tell them, you know? So, if you are thinking about EMDR therapy, let me know if you were told that you had to have a foundation in coping skills, or if you already had them and you were able to start it. I may not even need this method after all. I may just need a psychologist, like I said, but I mean, just let me know your thoughts. And with that said, before I end, I have been staring at this. Do you see like that dark shadow? Oh, come on, focus. There's the car right there, right? And the lights. Focus. Right behind it. Right behind it, right there. There's a dark shadow. I keep thinking that somebody there staring at me, and I'm like, I was freaked out the whole entire time. Can I get any closer? No, I cannot. Yeah, I kept thinking, is somebody sitting there looking at me or what? It was like so freak. And then the moon is over here. Oh, I can see the moon on this side. Look, it looks so pretty. Oh, before I say goodbye, you all, if you can just say a little prayer for my son. He's at work right now. He's getting ready to leave already, but he's had some really rude customers lately. And they're being rude for something that's out of his control. You know, and in short, the system, their system here, has a way of charging customers. That is out of the hands of the employees. All the employees do is, you know, press on this combo, that combo, that's it. And so apparently, and this is going to be a little bit complicated, but excuse me, apparently if you order 2-foot-long sandwiches by themselves and 1 6-inch combo, the machine is going to charge, the register is going to charge you for the least expensive sandwich as the combo, which I think is a good thing. You're not getting overcharged. But the customers don't understand that, and because of that, he had 2 irate customers the other night. So please pray for him. Oh, he's coming out. So I love you all, and I will talk to you again soon. And please comment down below.